This is the whole diet, okay? I've done it. Trust me.
Why?
I was a kid, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, let's just go with it. Hey guys, welcome back to this series where we have conversations that matter. We are on episode 2 this time. We spoke about COVID-related nutrition and how we can manage the entire situation better with the help of food. This time, Tej is going to help us understand a little more about food. So welcome back, Tej. We are so glad to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to this one.
Okay. So the first question we received was about grains. Like that, it's such a debatable topic. We hear so much about it, right? Like, are grains actually good for you, bad for you? What is the thing about it?
Look, I think grains are a staple part of any vegetarian diet. I'm not exactly sure where this even comes from because, see, I think it all stems from the fact that people are really afraid of carbs. And so what they start doing is they start eliminating one food group after another.
Mm-hmm.
And they believe that somehow miraculously the answer lies somewhere there. But that's not true. Okay, that being said, different people respond differently to different grains. Okay, so I think the only way to find out is to try and see how it affects your digestion and whether you're bloating or whether you have any of those side effects. Because, like, I know there are certain things that don't work for me, whereas I know that there are situations where I have people having grains and they're either bloated or they have headaches or they're just chronically dehydrated, and that response is very individual. But in order to really understand whether something is working for you or not, the only way is to try out and see whether you're responding adversely, and then decide whether you need to keep it. I mean, that's the only time you should remove it from your diet.
Nowadays, they've been like so many kinds of diets have been coming up. So as you said, people are just eliminating every single food group. Yeah, I think everything for us, like since everybody's body is so different, trial and error is probably the best way to go about it. I've heard so many people talking about the sugar in fruits as well, because I think the entire concept of sugar is so generalized these days that literally everything has sugar and people want to avoid everything. So what kind of suggestion would you give to that?
Look, I think end of the day, it really boils down to what your goals are, okay, and what are you trying to achieve? Because when you're trying to build a well-rounded nutrition plan, eliminating anything is never the solution. So, what happens is then you're unable to sustain whatever dietary practices that you're trying to create for yourself to follow. Because then that's why the success rate of most diets is so low, because people are unable to adhere.
Right.
Now, the thing with sugar is, if you don't have a blood sugar issue or if you don't have a medical problem that stops you from consuming sugar, then I don't see a reason why someone shouldn't, unless they're just sitting around all day and doing nothing with it. Because then end of the day, you're just going to get fat. If, of course, your calories are up again. My point being, sugar doesn't fill you up, right? It's not satiating. So what happens is it make you people who consume excess sugar through processed foods invariably tend to overeat. Right? And then you've already shot up your caloric intake through the day, and then it continues to spiral. And then that's how fat gain happens, right?
Right. So, like, I have heard like a lot of doctors saying this as well, like eating a lot of fruits, which of course has a lot of fructose content. Do you think that leads to, fatty liver? One of my, friend got a fatty liver and her doctor had told her that it's because of the excess amount of fruits.
See, if someone already has a fatty liver, the doctor might try to take off the load from the liver. Then they might reduce your protein intake, and they might cut out fruits and do just vegetables and things like that. But does fructose cause fatty liver? I mean that is not that's not the statement I would like to make here, because I think fruits are should and can be a part of a well-rounded eating plan, because it's better
on a diet for such a long time that just removing something will just be like really shocking to the body and your mind.
See, it's more like you also will tend to go back to what you've been asked not to do, right? It's just human tendency. We don't like rules. By default, we don't like rules are meant to be broken. So if the more rules you create, the more problems you're going to create for yourself.
Yeah. I completely agree with that, because a lot of people, they get into these yo-yo diets where they just eliminate literally everything and they're back where they were.
Definitely in a worse state. So you gain back all the weight you're trying to lose and more. Okay, that is normally what is going to happen, because the body is going to compensate for all that you've done. I don't want to get into too much technical about the leptin, ghrelin, and how the hormones need to be in check. But the point being that if you are extremely restrictive, when your body revolts, right, it will try to gain back the weight it has lost in order to get back to the state like the homeostasis.
Right. Right.
Only then the body is able to do other things. Right. So the problem is that, if the more extreme practices you deploy in order to achieve your goal, the less sustainable it is going to be in the long run.
I completely agree, because I think it takes so much patience to understand about the entire thing, about going slow with it. Because a lot of people, they, I think it's probably from a state of anxiety where they end up taking these decisions and start adopting these detox diets and everything. And they really put you in a bad state after that. So I think it takes a patient mind to understand why it's important to go slow.
Yeah. An average client who comes to me has done so many diets in their life, and they have beaten their metabolism to a point where no matter what you do, the body just won't respond. And those are the situations I'm having to handle. The problem is that the more the number of diet cycles you're going to go on, the harder it is going to be to lose weight successfully.
Right.
The issue is, with every consecutive diet, it's going to take you more time and more effort and more dieting, more restriction in order to get the result that you're looking for. So yeah, it's just like you think you're trying to do yourself and your body a favor, but then you're just doing the opposite.
Right. There was this other question I got about milk, and why is it actually important to have milk in our diet, or what is your view about it, like the connection between milk and our gut health?
Look, let me put it this way. If you're not eliminating a macronutrient group, like let's say carbohydrates or proteins or fat, then any food item can be replaced.
Right.
So if milk is not working for you, don't have it. Right? No one is forcing it upon you. But let's say if milk is the only source of calcium that you're getting in your diet, for instance, then it is your responsibility to supplement your diet with calcium from whichever other source, either through diet or through supplementation.
Right.
Now, all this being said, that goes on to just say that no food item is irreplaceable. There is always a substitute for everything except water. Right. So yeah, water and salt, I guess. I don't know. But you get where I'm going with this.
Right.
That most of the food groups, if something is not working for you, you don't have to have it. There is no compulsion.
And what about the other debate that people were having like a while ago? The entire idea about Diet Coke. Does it lead to fat gain or something? I don't know. There were a lot of people talking about it.
The amount of artificial sweetener that goes into a can of Diet Coke is so insignificant that you can just have it without stressing. Okay. So if you're suffering from PKU, or you have an issue with any autoimmune condition or any disorder or disease which prevents you from having it, please don't have it. But if you're a normal individual who has a healthy body with everything functioning all right, a little bit of Diet Coke is not going to kill you.
Right. So aspartame has no side effects as such to the body, unless you actually have a condition.
With aspartame, the amount of aspartame that goes into the Diet Coke or whatever whatever artificially sweetened food product or beverage that you're consuming is so low that it is almost insignificant in the grand scheme of things. Okay. Now, that being said, like for example, if having a can of Diet Coke is going to prevent you from consuming another 300 calories of some sweet beverage, then it's a win-win situation, right? It helps a person diet for longer and it helps a person diet harder. So where's the problem?
Right. And there is nothing like once you have Diet Coke, is it like later on you have a higher sugar craving for something or no?
Look, I think that, I don't know. I think that part is very oversimplified. I think that response is very individual. But in my personal experience, I have found that it helps to blunt appetite. It makes you feel full, and also because it is aerated, it makes you kind of sit quietly without trying to kind of eat uncontrollably. So that's that. But if you feel like it's making you crave more sugar, then it's causing more problems than it's solving, right? Then you might as well avoid it. It's the response is individual. I would not say something and say that this is what the truth is and this is what is set in stone. Unfortunately, I think people who might click on this video or people who might come to watch videos like this are looking for that yes or no, good or bad. And the truth always lies somewhere in between. Yeah. Unfortunately, people don't like to hear that, but it is what it is, because sustainable long-term nutrition practices would always believe in some amount of moderation and cognitive restraint put together. And then you work towards achieving whatever goal it is that you want.
Right. So there are so many questions regarding dietary fat as well, where, literally dietary fat or just fat equals to fat gain. This is what people think. I mean, even though they are aware of the idea that, there is something called as caloric surplus, they still have this question, or what is the importance of fat in our diet and how much of it should a person have?
See, a lot fat is overall a macronutrient for a reason, right?
Right.
You need to consume some amount of fat, which is essential for your body. Okay. Now that being said, so see, fat is a macronutrient, and you should ideally not be eliminating any of the macronutrients from your diet. Okay. Now that we have that out of the way, fat performs a lot of essential functions, including taking care of your hormone balance, testosterone, estrogen, making sure your menstrual cycle is regular, and all of those things. Okay. Now, what happens? See, I would say that how much fat you need in your diet is kind of individual, because fat can be used for multiple reasons. Okay. If you're trying to create a caloric surplus in a person with very poor appetite, fat can be very, very useful in that situation. So you cannot constantly keep adding carbohydrates, and this person is getting too full, their appetite is not good, their digestion is starting to suffer. That is when I think fat has a great role to play in those situations. Another situation would be where you want a person to feel satiated for a longer time. Fat does promote satiety. So that is also a very crucial role that fat tends to play. Other than taking care of your joints and hormones and bunch of other things in the body, which you can definitely read about. These, in terms of practical application, I think these are two important things. Over and above that, if you are trying to diet down and you're at, let's say, you're deep into a cut, that is the only situation where you would start pulling fats out.
Correct.
Right? Now, how much you want to pull out and what is the bare minimum, I think that is also debatable, because it is a bit different individual to individual. So if you're looking for a rule of thumb, I would suggest it's about 40 to 60% of your body weight in kilograms, right?
Okay.
So for instance, if you take your body weight as, let's say 100 kgs, you can do 40 grams of fat, basically, 40 to 60 grams. That would, so 1 gram of fat will give you approximately 9 calories. So that would give you, say, if you're doing 40 grams, it will give you 360 calories. Right. Basically, that's how you arrive at your bare minimum fat. Because see, again, especially with women, I think it's very individual. So if you feel like, your menstrual cycle is all over the place, then you have to readjust and recalibrate your carbohydrates and fats in order to basically make sure that things are going on normally inside. Right. Especially, see, when people try to do too many things too quickly, the body is going to respond. So now we have to be prepared. Right.
The entire concept of PCOD or PCOS, it's completely like a fat issue, right? Like dietary fat.
See, PCOS and PCOD is a very complex situation, and people have not really been able to put the finger on exactly what causes it. Okay, but what you realize is that it is a bunch of cascading effects that lead to that situation, right? So, but in PCOD, does your metabolism slow down? Definitely yes. In most situations, people with PCOD have an underactive thyroid, which also drops your metabolism. And thereby, if you don't start doing something about your lifestyle, you will become insulin resistant if you aren't already. And then you're going to keep gaining fat. So dietary fat in that situation is essential to the extent of your essential fat intake. Over and above that, you need to be in a calorie deficit.
Right.
Food is controversial because everyone eats, unfortunately. So what happens is, when something is such an integral part of your life, everybody has something or the other to say based on what they know. And unfortunately, what they know is only restricted to what they have had experience with.
True.
Right. So it's
like an emotional attachment with food. Like if you just say anything against it, people will be like, no, this is wrong.
It's not emotional attachment as much as it is that you have had so much experience that people almost have that, I would say, ego issue where they think, oh, how can I be wrong? Or how can I be so incorrect or so far from the truth in this subject? Right? Because even when, see, honestly, I would like, that's how these fat diets come up, right? Because it's a figment of somebody's imagination and they think that, okay, this is going to help somebody. And whether there is research to actually back it or whether there are claims, I feel those things are secondary, because unfortunately, the way these things are being marketed. So one day fruits, one day, wait, let me read this nonsense. I did it. Okay. So day 1 is all fruits except bananas. Recommended fruits are watermelon and muskmelon, 8 to 12 glasses of water. Okay. This is the whole diet. Okay. I've done it. Trust me.
Why?
I was a kid, okay? I just didn't know any better.
Okay.
Day 2 was a large boiled potato and cooked or uncooked vegetables of your choice without oil.
Okay. So just boil them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Day 3 is all fruits except bananas, cooked or uncooked vegetables except potato,
Mm-hmm.
except potatoes with your choice or vegetables of your choice without oil again.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Day 4, 8 to 10 bananas.
What? You just said no bananas.
Yeah, you should. I think you should keep this whole part in this video. Okay, don't delete this.
Okay.
8 to 10 bananas, 3 to 4 glasses of milk, and 8 to 12 glasses of water.
Okay.
Day 5 is 6 tomatoes, 1 cup of brown rice, and 12 to 15 glasses of water. I still remember the taste of the brown rice from the time I did the diet. Okay.
Oh shit. That sounds insane. I mean, you have like a
Okay.
complete bhaji pala market inside your body.
No, then day 6 is 1 cup of brown rice. I think this was the tastiest. I think I really enjoyed this particular day.
Okay.
1 cup of brown rice with cooked or uncooked vegetables of your choice. Because after doing 5 days of what I just described,
Mm-hmm.
on the 6th day, if you're getting to eat rice and vegetables, at least like a pulao,
Yeah.
it feels like it's like some weight has been lifted off of you. I think.
Right.
Okay. I was in my teens when I did it. Okay, so you can't blame me.
Yeah.
Day 7 is 1 cup of brown rice and any vegetables and all fruit juices.
Okay. I'm
So
actually
that's
reading what happened after this. Like, what was the impact of it?
I lost 5 kgs.
And how soon did you gain it back?
I actually kept a few off, but you know what I did? So I did a stupid thing. So I thought that if you do this once and you're losing 5 kgs,
Okay. I know where it's going.
then if you do it twice, you lose.
And oh God, come on.
So what I did was I took what happened the first time I did it, I lost 5 kgs, and I think I took a week where I maintained. I was able to maintain it successfully,
Mhm.
and then the next time I did the diet, I think I lost 2 or 2.5 kgs. I attempted the second time, not like immediately, but I maintained that whatever number on the scale, and I redid the diet.
Mhm.
But then, of course, I was also training. Once I started training more seriously, I realized that this is not working, and I stopped really focusing on the weight because, see, the thing is, this is devoid of carbohydrates. This is devoid of fat. So once you add back those foods, right, your body, especially carbohydrates, your body will hold on to more water and glycogen. So your body weight is automatically going to be higher. And obviously, this diet has, I don't know, I could basically count the amount of protein I'm getting on one hand, I think.
Okay.
So
The energy levels would be really low at that point.
look, I wouldn't say it was that bad.
Mhm.
But I realized that if I continued, it would be. At that situation, I was okay. But the problem is it doesn't say eat as much as you want. Although it is extremely restrictive when it comes to 2 things. One is portion size as well as food groups. Now, when you put both those restrictions, you're in a very messed up situation because eventually it's going to all come back, right? Eventually, I didn't track it very meticulously, but I'm sure I gained back some of the weight. Whether it was all fat or not depends on what I was doing with my life at that time.
Mhm.
But yeah, of course you'll gain it back, like because there's no way you're going to sustain this.
True. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining us today and thank you for watching this video. I hope you've got some really good insight into why eliminating foods is not the option that you need to go for. And I hope to see you guys again pretty soon. So, bye-bye, take care. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my video.